the other front in the war against the gas and the car tax, and, of course, working hard at the recall of State Senator Josh Newman from that 29th State Senate district. We'll have Carl DeMaio on tomorrow for an update on how that is going. But the other thing that's been going on, and we talked to Assemblyman Travis Allen, a Republican from Huntington Beach, he is the one that got the ball rolling on a statewide ballot vote on repealing the gas and the car tax. And the news this week dealing with this is kind of on two fronts. One headline is that signature gathering's been approved for the initiative to repeal the gas and the car tax increases that was enacted again. That was signed into law April 28th by Brown, increases the gas excise tax by 12 cents a gallon, the diesel fuel excise tax by 20 cents a gallon, and the sales tax on diesel of 5.75%. It all begins November 1st. Oh, and by the way, it raises the car tax depending on the value of the car. And for the first time ever, if you have an all-electric car, you got to pay extra.
They're screwing everybody over. And it's going to cost you $300-400 or more a year after all these taxes are counted.
Right.
Travis Allen is the Assemblyman, Republican, Huntington Beach, running for governor, right?
Yes. Had him on recently about that.
And he's leading this fight. Travis, how are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, first, it sounds like a good thing that it's been approved for signature gathering, but the other headline is that you may sue over the misleading ballot description given by, it was the State Attorney General Becerra?
Yes, that's exactly right. Well, listen, the good news that we're approved to gather signatures is just a function of statute. There's literally nothing that Jerry Brown and his handpicked Attorney General Javier Becerra can do to stop that. But what they can do is they can do what they've got a history of doing, which is lying to the California people. So what they issued was a very misleading title and summary. It was so bad that I've filed a lawsuit against them to get it changed back into plain English. The lawsuit drops tomorrow in Superior Court.
What was misleading about the title that he wrote?
Well, we can't say too much until the lawsuit is actually filed tomorrow. But just to give you a taste, I'm going to tell you, the ballot initiative is very simple. It does one thing and one thing alone, and you can sum that in 4 words. It repeals the gas tax. This is what Jerry Brown and Javier Becerra want it to say. Eliminates recently enacted road repair and transportation funding by repealing revenues dedicated for those purposes.
Yeah, it softens it quite a bit. It makes it feel like, well, you don't want to do this because it's going to repair all the roads magically and it's all dedicated. And why would you want to repeal this tax?
All right, but what's the argument going to be? Is there something specifically dishonest in that statement, or is it just a matter of they can put a negative spin, but it may still be a truthful spin, right?
So, well, this is what they're hoping for. The bottom line, though, is that Jerry Brown's got a pattern of lying and deceiving the California voters. You go back to Prop 30 in 2012, the quote-unquote temporary tax for education, which was neither temporary nor did all the money go to education. Only about half the money went. In 2010, when he was Attorney General of Prop 25, he was forced by the judges to twice change the title and summary that he'd given because it was so biased and misleading. So what they're trying to do here, and I can't go into the finer specifics. We'll have to wait until about noon tomorrow to hit all those points. But not only are they omitting, some very key elements so people can understand what they're actually signing and that this is a repeal of the gas tax, they're intentionally misleading the voters on several points. And this is why we're going to file a lawsuit, because when you're standing there in front of the signature gatherer at the grocery store or the gas station, you want to know that what you're signing is a direct repeal of the gas tax. There is only one thing in California that's going to do it. This is not a petition. This is not a recall. This is a ballot initiative to repeal the gas tax, and that's exactly what it has to state in the title summary.
So how does your lawsuit affect your efforts to go start collecting signatures? Are you going to wait or what?
Yes, so we actually have to wait until we prevail in court. So we were cleared, but because they gave us this misleading title and summary, we're going to fight them in court so we can get a plain language title and summary so people actually know what they're signing. And it gets more important to understand when you're in the voting booth in November of 2018 and you see the measure in front of you to vote. we need to make sure that Californians, if they never hear anything else in the news, know that when they're at voting booth, that this is the repeal of the gas tax.
What's the history of judges when it comes to putting out plain language?
It's a little mixed. That's why we have a really, really good set of attorneys working on this, and we're very aggressively pursuing it. Oftentimes they'll take the side of, trying to go with the attorney general, but many times they will not. And Jerry Brown has repeatedly been slapped down by the courts multiple times when he is trying to bring in these misleading statements. I mean, look, deceiving California voters is a game to Jerry Brown. He rammed this gas tax down our throats, as you well know, spent $1 billion to grease the wheels to basically bribe 4 legislators to get their votes, broke his campaign promise because he said no new tax without voter approval, and you never got a chance to vote on it. So that's what this is all about. So once we prevail in court, which should take about anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks is what we're hoping, then we will have the signatures packets ready to go out and get signed up and down the state.
So they haven't started
go all the way through to.
So they haven't started the clock yet to gather signatures. Yeah. That doesn't start until after you're done with this court case.
That's exactly right. So as long as we prevail in court, it resets the clock. So we won't lose any time. And this is great because, as you mentioned, in the lead up, in November 1st, your gas tax goes up by 12 cents per gallon and 20 cents per diesel, plus 4% on the sales tax of diesel. And then in January, your car registration goes up by up to $175. So look, if these guys want to play legal games with us and just stretch out the time so Californians feel more pain from this gas tax, be my guest. I'll see you in court, and we're going to win. And by the way, if any of your listeners are driving, and right now, I'm looking at my watch, it's 5 o'clock, you're probably stuck in traffic on the 405. If you don't like that, if you're sick and tired of being stuck in traffic, it's because Jerry Brown and the Sacramento Democrats that have run the state for the last 40 years, they have not built any more capacity. If you're sick and tired of that and you want to repeal this gas tax, go to the website and help out. NoCAGasTax.com. You can sign up. You can get petitions there. You can donate to help us out so we can make sure that we get the 365,880 signatures that we're going to need to repeal this law and send a very clear message to Jerry Brown and the Democrats that you guys want to raise our taxes. You got to come to the people of California first.
All right, one more thing before you go, because on the near horizon is this new cap and trade tax on gas and oil companies. That's going to raise gas prices by 63 cents a gallon by 2021, 3.5 years away. That's a huge tax. That's 5 times the tax you're trying to repeal. I don't see much.
Absolutely insane.
I know. I don't see much publicity from your party warning people that this new gas tax that's coming is going to dwarf the old one that you're trying to repeal.
Listen, I got to tell you guys, you are exactly right. And this is why I'm running to be the next governor of California, because the steady stream of higher taxation, zero representation for the people of California that comes out of Sacramento has to be stopped.
But 63 cents a gallon?
It's unreal.
63 cents a gallon.
They're calling it cap and trade, and they're saying it's that somehow you paying more money for your fuel cost is going to somehow fix global warming.
Yeah,
but this is what they're trying to sell you.
I know. It's nutty, but I just think that everybody in your party ought to be framing this publicly, because it's accurate, as a 63-cent gas tax. Because people don't know what cap and trade means and all that. It's really complicated to explain. It doesn't matter. It's a tax. It's going to be reflected in the prices. And this is a golden opportunity because people are primed. They're so furious about the 12-cent a gallon tax. Here's a 63-cent one that's on the edge of passing.
You are exactly right. As a matter of fact, they are trying to get the votes so much they even kept one of their assembly members who just got elected to Congress, Jimmy Gomez. They tried to keep him here in the State House so they could get the votes they needed to pass this tax. But cap and trade, when you hear those words, all you got to think of is what you just said. 63 cents more per gallon in gas. And remember, this hits everything. It's not just your fuel costs. This filters out into all the other costs that we pay in society. Because when you tax a basic component like fuel, everything becomes more expensive. So, yes, it's the gas tax that we got to repeal. And then this cap and trade that is going to force companies out of California. It's going to drive up the price of gas even further, 5 times what it's going to be driven up under the gas tax, according to this cap and trade. So I agree with you guys. Let everybody know. if you live in a district with a Democrat legislator, the Republicans have already said none of them are going to vote for it, and I'm going to hold their feet to fire and make sure that none of them vote for it. But if you live in a district with a Democrat senator or assemblyman, pick up your phone today, call their office, and say, do not vote for cap and trade. Do not vote for this hidden 63-cent tax per gallon, or you're going to see me come next November 18.
All right, Travis, thanks for coming on.
Guys, thanks so much.
All right, it's Assemblyman Travis Allen, Republican from Huntington Beach. He's running for governor, and also he is behind an effort to repeal the statewide gas and car tax. This is beyond the recall of State Senator Josh Newman. This will be a repeal of the actual gas and car tax, hoping to start collecting signatures. But first, he wants to go to court and change the language that the Attorney General, Xavier Becerra, put in there to mislead people into thinking, oh, I can't do this. And see, he's right in that it would be easy to get the signatures because you just tell people, repeal the gas and the car tax, and they'll line up to sign.
Yeah, well,
but when it actually gets on the ballot and people read the ballot description, they might melt a bit and say, "Oh, I don't know, dedicated funding." And
it's a dirty trick, like the dirty tricks they're pulling to delay the Newman recall.
Right,
it's just one dirty trick after another. Excuse me.
But this is what they're trying to sell you.
I know. It's nutty, but I just think that everybody in your party ought to be framing this publicly because it's accurate as a 63-cent gas tax.